Hello, my name is Vic Gilgis, and I'm here today with this podcast to help you be happier and myself as well. And today, what I want to do to help you with this is to go back to my glory days, I suppose, to illustrate. I'm sorry about that, but I'm doing that in order to bring some information forward to you, some understanding that will help you, hopefully, with your confidence, how to go on in life, and, well, basically, how things happen and assist you. And so I'm going back to, 50 years ago. I'm 80 now, so I was in my heyday then, I suppose. And at that time, I was a lecturer at the Hull College of Higher Education, teaching managers, or should I say, and supervisors, or should I say they were teaching me. I learnt more there, believe me. It was a bit of a slog. I enjoyed it, but I learnt a lot from the managers, definitely, and the supervisors. And so there I was, teaching my curriculum in manufacturing management to the people who were put in front of me, the managers and that, on different courses. And one of the things that I was interested in doing, but I'd never done before, was running my own courses. But I knew, I just had a passion, a need, a desire, whatever you want to call it, a knowing, an intention is a good word. And these are very important things to remember, that once you've got that, things move forward, they really do. But they don't appear to do so at the time. But with the right intention, because we can have all sorts of intentions, I suppose, but if it's coming from the love in your heart, and what is really what you're about, it will happen, believe me. You'll get the confidence you need, doors will open, and it's surprising. I suppose this is why I'm doing this, is to give you an appreciation that it does exist, this type of help, this type of assistance, or whatever you want to call it. And so I'm going to, by illustration, tell you this. And this, I've got different stories of these type of things happening, and they don't just happen to me. I know that they've happened to other people, but this is my particular story. What I did was, the corridor along where I worked, there were different offices, different lecturers. And one chap I was very interested in, Ian, I think they called him, who taught marketing. And why I was inquisitive initially as well is that he slept in his office. Not always, but sometimes. And so I knocked on his door, and I think I did actually at one stage say, "Why do you sleep in your office?" And he was having marital problems, so I suppose it was like better than paying B&B or a hotel. So that's the situation there. Anyway, I got round to saying, this is it. I'd heard that he ran his own courses on marketing. And so I said to him, "Ian, what's all this about? What do you do?" And more or less immediately he said, "Oh, it's money for old rope, Vic." And he explained what he did, and I thought, well, that sounds easy. And people are paying you for this. And he said, "Vic, you'd be perfect for this." Because I just didn't know what to do, and I didn't have the confidence to do it, I must admit, but I wanted to do it. Again, what happened was he told me to go to a particular office at the college, which I did. I rocked up and told them what I wanted to do, and these people said, "Just give us your notes and leave it with us." And 2 weeks later, they contacted me, and they turned my notes into a posh folder with a photograph of me on it where I looked like Elvis. They'd found me a room. They'd got me some managers to talk to. Everything was like there. And they said to me, "And will £500 for you do for this this session?" Well, 50 years ago, £500 was a lot of money, believe me. So I just kind of, said, "Oh, okay." So I rocked up on the particular day. There's a room full of managers and supervisors, and I thought, gulp, oh my God, I'm going to have to do it. And it was like, I couldn't believe it was happening before my very eyes, but there I was. And I managed to stumble my way through it. I didn't just do one day. I think I had to do two, I can't remember, 2 days, but it was well worth the money for the effort. And I did it. And it was a steep learning curve. But what I learned was that I could do it. And I'd done it. And in fact, the feedback, these people who manage these things said to me, when do you want to do another one? So I was kind of bowled over by this. Anyway, I had £500 in my pocket. So what I did was, my wife and myself had never been abroad on holiday. So I used this money and we went in a tent holiday in Antibes, which is at the edge of the Mediterranean, the Côte d'Azur, as they call it. And I remember, I couldn't believe that Antibes was next door to Cannes, Nice and Monte Carlo, and that there was a railway line. I got on a train with my wife and myself, and in one day we visited Cannes, Nice and Monte Carlo. So the yachts, so the palace, so the glitterati. It was absolutely wonderful. I could not... In those days, people used to send home bragging postcards like, we've been to, Bridlington or Scarborough or somewhere. And this was, I've been to Nice, Cannes and Monte Carlo with my missus. So there you are. And I was very chuffed about seeing this other side of life. The weather was fantastic, Antibes, and it's the first time I could not understand. I'd never eaten out, and I went into a French restaurant, and couldn't believe the fact that they took time over the different courses, and that we had about 5 courses, because I was complaining to my wife that the first course was too small. But after I'd had 5 things, I was quite full, and it was quite enjoyable. And it was then that I realised that there is an art to eating out, and you don't just, grab a hamburger and stuff it in your mouth and then walk out. No, it was my introduction to fine dining and of course French cuisine. It's absolutely perfect. The holiday was wonderful. I learnt a lot from the folk on the campsite, and being a bit thrifty, I suppose, despite the fact that I had 500 quid to spend. On the campsite, one of the lads in the tent said, found within reason the biggest saucepan you can find, because what they'll do at the van, this was the van that sold pommes frites. Anyway, it was chicken and chips, but it was French chicken and chips, and it was beautiful. And when you offered your pan, they filled it up. So that's what it meant by find the biggest pan you could. And it was so cheap and so lovely. And what I did was I was totally delighted that I'd managed to go abroad, and that I suppose I'd earned the money to go abroad by doing a thing that I wanted to do, that I didn't think I'd be able to do, but I'd done it. And it introduced me to a whole new world of having some confidence, and following what I wanted to do, following my passion. My intention was being fulfilled, I suppose. Yeah, so that was that, and I remember having the money to do so. I went to a shop and bought a bottle of champagne, and at the not the chime of midnight, but when midnight arrived, I was sat with my wife on the beach, and the sea behind was a mill pond. It was beautiful. I'll never forget that beautiful time I had with my wife, because my wife's passed now. She passed last year. We had nearly 57 years of marriage, but that was perfect time then. And there was not a ripple from the sea. It was like a mirror, and we were drinking this champagne and just could not believe that, trying to do something and managing to do it. and the wonder of what had really happened, that which I will explain in a moment. That was fantastic. It really was. Now, what was going on? What was going on is, for example, when I was, I suppose, worried about wanting to do a course of my own, to run a course, and then I taught manufacturing management. But I could do it with the students. Well, that was my job. I got paid for that. But actually getting paid for a job is different, and that amount of money as well. And so you tend to shake in your boots a little bit. But the fact that I'd pushed myself into it, and other people had aided and abetted that, and there I was having to do it, I just had to learn by my mistakes. And as soon as I got doing it live, as it were, I found the wherewithal to, despite stumbling and what have you, and a little bit of nerves, I managed to find my feet and get into my sway, as it were, and do it. So that's the thing about confidence, is that it is there. Well, what I'm saying is, and I'm relating what follows next to the three principles, is that when we start being up in our head about stuff, the critical thoughts coming, oh, you can't do that, how much will it cost, who will help you, will it work out, should you do it, ooh, dearie, isn't it better not to do it, I'd like to do it, but better not. That's all, when you get, when you stop working from the neck up, in other words, take that off, as it were, those critical thoughts, in a word, your intellect, your ego is, and my ego was large then, but very much in danger of being threatened by doing this. In other words, having to do some things different to thinking to doing it. But I managed to do it because I kind of was able to put that aside. Not so much. I think it just conspired for me to have to put that aside. But what I'm saying is that from the three principles, from what I know now, is that getting out of my thinking mind about it all and just doing something that I loved, and that's an important word, I was able to do it because innately we have the ability to do things, and it steps up and helps. So that's one thing, is that it helps with confidence. Is not a kind of a 3 steps to having confidence. It is there. You have it. It is innate. The other thing is that I want to mention, say, Carl Jung. Is he a Swiss psychologist and psychoanalyst? I think so. Anyway, Carl Jung, brilliant at a thing called synchronicity. Now, what Carl Jung talked about was that it's not a kind of a coincidence that things happened. In other words, what he was saying is that some things, when you look at them, have no cause and effect. And you're thinking, well, why did that happen after that? Was it because of that? No. What Carl Jung said is that there is, beneath it all, a universal intelligence. So there is a knowing that the universe conspires basically to make things happen, and in this particular sense it made things happen for me, and it does do this. It works. So and I've used this phrase before, when you take the next step, that step lights up and you then know what to do in that moment. And certainly I found that out to be true when I was in the lecture room doing that course, is that thoughts came into my mind about what to do, how to handle my subjects. And in fact, I learned as I went along. I started having insights that I wouldn't have had if I'd have sat on my couch worrying about not doing it. So that's a second point I want to make, is a first point on confidence. You've got it, it's innate. just bring it forth. The other one is that the universe has your back. And I've said this type of thing before, and in this sense, I would label it as synchronicity, or getting the help that you need when you need it in real time. And when we are in real time, the time is now, Eckhart Tolle stuff, then you are not worrying about the future. You are not like looking back to the stale stuff in the past. What comes through you is fresh, believe me. And I suppose it's having faith in this. And I'm a bit lucky in a way, because then, although I didn't know to have faith, by examples like this, an example like this that I'm showing to you, and I've had many since then, you do kind of acquire a faith, a trust, that you can trust something that is within you and maybe without you. When I say without you, if you want to call it God, spirit, it is there. It is always there. And it is in us. It is a gift that we have. And thank God that we have it. It's always there. I think that's about all that I can do on this to help you, is that, follow your passion, follow your, set your intention, be clear about, and at that stage when you do this, all sorts of things pop up in your mind as to why you can't do it, why you shouldn't do it, why it was a silly thought anyway, or you're not feeling so good anyway. The only way to feel good about life is to do what you are built to do. What is you? What you are best at? And we're all different. We're all unique. And that's the good thing about this synchronicity, this universal help is personal to you. It knows what you are, and it knows the bigger scheme of things, and it is always there to help you. When you've got that knowing behind you, well, you can be brave, and just you can move, you're best to move forward in that way. And it's a lovely way to move forward, because you're doing what you love in your time, without the worries of competition, because it doesn't matter. Without the worries of, have I got the time? Because it doesn't matter. When you're doing what you love, time and worries and am I doing it good enough? It doesn't matter. You're doing it as good as you can. That's what my dad used to say to me. Son, always try to do your best, and that's the best you can do. So don't worry about the others. Do what you do best, because it's personal to you. And with time and attention, because that's what comes out of all this, is because you love it, you give it time and attention, you just get better and better and better. So that's my little story. I hope it helps you. Been nice talking to you. Sorry about my wafty wavy hands. I'll see you again, hopefully. Thank you very much.